Oh, it's night time. Thankfully, all the rest of these people are hostile, and we have 2 messages. The Skybreaker added. Quest expires in 1 day. No idea what that is. Now apparently...
Yeah?
I may need to speak to Hiravias.
As a peripatetic loner, I'm not privy to the latest news, but the Hollowborn children is a tale that has reached even my reclusive ears. Or, rather, ear.
Asking for his thoughts on the Hollowborn situation.
Any time a life is separated from its soul, I wanted to pretend it was just a rumor when I first heard of it. In my youth, I'd cursed the dear Woodens for being ignorant to spoilers that breed out of control. But soulless babies? What heartless gods would inflict that kind of tragedy? No parent or child deserves to be a part of that horror.
And asking what the other Gunpathan druids think of this plight.
It's been a long time since I've spoken with my circle. They'd probably tell you what I'd tell you. This plight was most certainly the consequence of someone trespassing into Nguithan places, not meant for folk. I mean, what else other than the gods could inflict punishment of such impressive scale?
How about a madman in possession of some very nasty machines?
Need something?
Okay. I suppose now's as good a time as any, after the combat. Just a bit of chill-out time, perhaps, in the courtyard area, surrounded by beasts, asking him to divulge a little bit about himself.
My second favorite subject.
He runs his fingers through his scalp, preening his fur.
What would you like to know?
I'll start with your druid training, I suppose. He thumbs himself half-shredded ear and thinks to himself for several seconds. It wasn't entirely by choice, not at the start at least. My ambition was to be a hunter. I merely arrived by a different trail. As a child, an Anamfath came to visit, an honoured guest its occasion for a grand chase, but I was left out, instructed instead to be cupbearer to the old wise one while the rest were on a hunt. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Wise Anamfath gives dumb child a shred of attention. We ended up talking until the hunters returned. He gave me, his hands down across his body, scouring the pockets and folds of his tunic, this. He presents a rusted iron medallion fashioned in the likeness of a hound's head, a common icon amongst the frontiersmen, explorers, and other seekers faithful to Gallowayne. The Anamfath is, did I betrayed, none in my village would defy him. Now, he smiles broadly, I don't need a bow to hunt. Okay, but where were you from originally, Fedoran asking?
My mother's crotch. You?
Oh! Oh, God. Fedoran, sighing perhaps. I meant from what land do you hail? And obviously he's aware of that.
I grew up in Glonfoth, specifically in and around Thane Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I've walked the whole of Glonfoth many times.
Ah, he's from the Fisher Crane. And that eye patch of yours? Fedoran blurting out. Whale is known as the Eyeless Face, so his symbol seemed a good fit for my eye patch. He absent-mindedly runs his finger on the strap of the patch band. Whale iconography is rather popular in my home tribe, but it seems he's not as widely venerated here in the Deerwood. I remember thinking that if I ever consecrated my eye to he who obfuscates and reveals, then maybe with enough devotion, Whale would make use of old ruined thing. He pulls on the eye patch strap and lets it go with a loud snap. So if you think you see me staring at rumps and cleavage, it's really just the will of Whale controlling my gaze. Honest. And your relationship with Gallowayne? I was raised as a disciple of the Seeker God. He is a champion of the hunt, be it the simple struggle for sustenance or the scholarly pursuit of knowledge. In my older years, I found... He cuts himself off, shakes his head and starts again. Life has shown me I am more suited to the ways of Whale. The furious hunt for knowledge often outpaces the journey to real understanding. Well, this is obviously a stale guy. Oh, wait a second. Asking about who he shapes or what he shapeshifts into, he says all sorts of things. Huh? Yes, are you holding something back? Fedora, noticing his usually bubbly personality, has just suddenly gone a little bit cold.
It's a long story, and I haven't really told it before to an outsider, so bear with me.
Oh, he is going to divulge, though.
I struggled with spirit shifting, the final rite of passage in my druidic training. I prayed to Galawain for insight, and, in the style of seekers of old, went to the forest, alone, to ask for guidance. Then I got my answer, an answer at least, in the form of a vibrantly colored Stelgar that pounced from the underbrush and made a salient demonstration of its capacity to eat things 1/15 its size.
And how did you manage to fend the beast off?
Fend it off? I ripped off its arm and sent it running. As the beast was lopping off bits of my handsomeness, I remember trying to fight back, swinging with arms too short to reach. I felt I had the energy for one last swipe at the beast's nose, and when I lashed out with a punch, my arm felt twice as massive, and my fingers sprouted talons. In a rush of power, I shifted into a mirror of my assailant. Apparently, he couldn't pick on someone his own size. By the battle's end, his severed arm was in my maw. The beast limped away in defeat.
Quite a magnificent tale, says Fedoran, of course appreciative of such a thing. Tailor of such a thing as well. I thought learning to spirit shift would win me some respect, maybe trap myself as a dear and lass with a lust for little men. Alas, I might have been better off staying a novice. When I wandered back to my village, they saw my wounds and asked what happened. I showed them. The name they called my form was the Autumn Stelgar. And... His mouth opens, but he hesitates for a long moment before choosing his words. They were not impressed. The Riau of my circle believe the Autumn Stelgar to be a heinous abomination. It is said that if it eats you, your soul is invariably lost. As this was my first and most intuitive form, they deemed me a carrier of its evil. Even though I never so much as threatened my kin, I was ruled unfit and cast out. I don't know what message Galawain was trying to send. The only lesson I learned was that the Seeker God will punish you for seeking. But you didn't choose your form. No, he says with a huff. It chose me, or so I imagine. I always assumed I would shift into a stoat. Seems more true to my nature. He points to the embossed pattern of whale on his eye patch. As the obscure teaches, when the answer is inscrutable, one must be content to ponder the question. Yes, well, thank you for sharing, Fedoran saying.
Well, if you don't know me, you can't trust me. And if you can't trust me, odds are low you'll leap in front of a flying arrow to save my life. I've been meaning to visit the druids of Twin Elms to see if they know more about my spirit shift. If our journey takes us there, perhaps they can enlighten me with more information about the Autumn Stelgar. But for now, maybe we can talk about something less depressing?
Of course. So there you go. So apparently, we need to once again enter the Golden Grove, but now that we have spoken with Hiravias a bit more and unlocked his personal quest, we should be able to advance that. And once we've done that, we'll head over to the Ter Evron and the Blood Sands and finish up, for now I imagine, in Elm's Reach. Time is not the best. But seeing as there's nowhere to sleep in this district, as far as I can tell, we will press on in the dead of night. So one of these guys may know something. Probably the big boss man.
Ready when you are.
Hey.
Ready when you are.
Builder's wisdom to you.
Okay, not you though.
Hey.
There was another character down here, maybe a couple of characters down here. She's a poison lady, Bleda. Tamarin.
Ready when you are.
Hail, Estramor.
Ooh. And hail to you, Autumn Orlan, the man says with a bow to Hiravias. Okay, so he senses something. Hiravias' eye widens in surprise and his one good ear stands on end. How on Aora did you... The man's eyes remain closed and he says with a smile, Tranquility begets a receptive mind. He opens his eyes, revealing brown irises clouded with the beginnings of cataracts. With my eyes open, I see your birth form, but when I look inward, and with this he closes his eyes again, I see the autumn Stalgar. Yes, we'll let Hiravias take over from here. I don't know how you can sense it, but you're right about me being the Stalgar. What do you know about the beast? Why was I ostracized just for being able to assume its form? Is there a cure? Tamarin smiles, his eyes remain closed. I know the beast is often sent by Galawain as a sort of trial. Many Anamfather are tested by the autumn Stalgar. Those bested and consumed by the beast have their soul torn from their bodies and lost for all time. So, my tribesmen were right. Hiravias looks crestfallen, his posture slumps, his gaze drops to the ground. Are you saying I have such a terrible power? This must be some sort of... If your spirit form were a bee, would you be mystically compelled to make honey? Were it a bird, would you spend all day making nests? Tamarin opens his eyes once more and looks Hiravias up and down before wincing and strutting his eyes again. I am saying this is what the animal your form resembles is known to do. It seems you are eager to leap to your own conclusions. I would not normally advise one to speak with the circle at Blood Sands, but, given your circumstances, the ethic null may prove of insightful. He turns and with his eyes still closed, points to the northwest. Read the stone slabs carved by the druids of the Blood Sands. There are answers to be found, as well as more questions, but you must explore them for yourself. Yes, Fedoran piping up here. Is there anything else you can tell us to help this Orlan? Only to trust in Galawain and trust in Whale. Both has blessed you in their own difficult ways. I appreciate the attempt to lift my spirits, Hiravias grumbles, but that doesn't really help. He sighs and digs into his ear stump with an index finger. But he has a point. I shall trust Whale has something to show me in the Blood of Sands. Okay. Well, he did say we'll have to find out for ourselves, so that's exactly what we'll do. Right, we have an update. True to form. Investigate the stone tablets within Blood Sands. We were going over there anyway. Were we not? Better quick save it also. Don't wish to redo that fight again. Cross the bridge. Or maybe not.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how will we get to Ivara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Ooh.
Hey,
Use her as bait? Or him? Oh. Aha. Right, I'm just going to pause it for a second. I need to shut my curtains and get a drink. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, ridged and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds and blossoms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I seek a man who came through here, says Fedoran. It sounds as though you have already met him.
There, by his own admission, Sheetha.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer? Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial. The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
Well, I suppose we better tell her the honest truth then. Stopping him might end Wide One's legacy.
So that is the reason he passed this way. This is low, even for the Leaden Key.
I told you we should have confronted him, Sheetha. He has always been a poison.
It would have been the last thing we ever did, sister. Who can be said to have ever gotten the better of Theos?
Yes, but imagine how much fun it would have been. Can't you just picture him all strung up in vines like an angry little puppet?
But that's not what this is really about, is it? You are bound to that man. I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
Yes, well, I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What's she mean? I thought Maywald said... Oh, Sagani. Apologizing. Sympathizing. We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. Madico, there must be some way. So this has all been for nothing? And I'm going to lose my mind?
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
I had to believe in something to keep me going.
You would rather believe in a comforting falsity than accept a hard truth. A common trait among your kind. Endearing in some ways, but it is an obstruction. A lie within a lie. It is only when you face that truth, abandon hope of salvation, and digest its uncompromising absoluteness, that a soul's true nature is laid bare. However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Shiva?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Death? Well, what is it?
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos? Would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos's path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
Yes, well, you did say you knew where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, sun and shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
And what do you mean with the help of the gods?
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach sun and shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we, a place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below. The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledge their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
And how exactly would I get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
Prayer? Something that Fedorn hasn't done that often in his lifetime. So therefore asking, how on earth do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
Sounds a bit like a riddle. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools. Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
And there is no other way?
None.
What do you wish to know?
Okay, further questions here. Yeah. How did you know I was perceived? Did we... This conversation has gone on for some time. I've not forgotten how this came up. No, she mentioned Theos first.
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
Okay, and you mentioned people that come to these elms without knowing why. A soul has a will all its own. Its needs and whims are seldom understood, but they follow them all the same.
There is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
Ooh. I need to understand our history. You've come all this way for understanding? No. Destroy him? Maybe. Undo the harm that he's caused? Set him on a better path? Take his place and power for myself? All rather interesting possibilities, but I suppose the ultimate answer is, until we are put in that position, and we stare him down face to face, maybe even best him in battle, hear what he has to say for himself, we ain't gonna know for certain.
A great many questions still to be answered.
Indeed.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Boom! So we need to petition the favour of the god. That's quite a pivotal moment in the story, I feel. Effectively, Fedorn on the hunt to try and cure this condition that he has, which is, as we found out from Meyerwald, soon going to set him mad, and we've now been told that there is effectively no cure. So I'm going to end the session here because I think I need to read that conversation again, probably in an earlier hour. It's now like 10:30 at night. I'm playing recording sessions quite late recently due to a load of different issues that I'm having. Renovations being one of them now. It's never a good time for long and meaty conversations to occur. But anyway, I'll take another look and see if there's anything I can glean. And yeah, Court of the Penitents. We need to go to the burial isle. But before we do that, we've got one last place to go here. And that is to the Blood Sands. And maybe just explore a little bit more fully the rest of this sort of top end of Elves Reach. But that'll all be next time, so join me then. See you soon.